everyone, Miss GoElectric here. Today is Sunday, August 9th, 2026, and this is The Current, your weekly EV news in about 10 minutes. Lucid Motors has announced they will push back the launch of their more affordable midsize electric SUV called the Cosmos from late 2026 to the second half of 2027. New CEO Silvio Napoli announced the delay during the company's second quarter 2026 earnings presentation, stressing that the vehicle will ship only when quality and process standards are fully met. "We will not repeat the mistakes of the past by bringing a product to market before it's ready," Napoli said. He acknowledged that Lucid has not executed consistently, launched products prematurely, underinvested in service, and responded too slowly to quality issues with existing models such as the Air sedan and Gravity SUV. The Gravity was expected to be the product that helped save the company with significantly increased sales volume before the midsize platform was introduced. Gravity has been criticized for software issues since its launch, with roughly 5,000 units sold since December of 2024. Its sales are presently higher than the aging Lucid Air, which launched in October of 2021. A sportier variant of the Gravity is expected to be showcased at Monterey Car Week later this month. The delay of the midsize platform is part of a broader operational reset. Lucid identified $1.4 billion in cash flow improvements for 2026, including $600 to $800 million from inventory reduction, $500 million in lower capital expenditures, and $200 million in operating expense cuts. They've laid off 2,500 employees, or about 25% of the global workforce, and their only full-scale factory in Casa Grande, Arizona, has been cut to just a single daily production shift. Lucid intends to strengthen liquidity and extend its runway well into 2027 after ending the second quarter with about $3 billion. Other highlights from Napoli's presentation included elevating 3 additional must-win priorities alongside the cash plan: advancing the robotaxi program with partners Uber and Nuro with non-prototype production targeted for early 2027, completing the AMP2 factory in Saudi Arabia, and progressing the midsize platform. Prototypes for the midsize models are already in validation, durability, crash, and cold weather testing. For the quarter, Lucid reported revenue of $405 million, which was up 56% year over year, and deliveries of 3,953 vehicles. Net losses widened to $1.26 billion. They did not provide any update on the full year 2026 guidance. A week prior to the earnings call, there was a regulatory filing showing Saudi billionaire Prince Al-Walid bin Talal Al Saud had taken a 5% stake in the company amid bankruptcy and take-private rumors, which were ultimately debunked by Lucid. The Saudi Public Investment Fund owns about 60% of the company. Napoli, who took the role in June after a leadership overhaul and workforce reductions, framed the reset around cash and cost discipline, customer experience and quality, and culture. Does it seem like Lucid's on the right track with the changes thus far? Or was Elon Musk correct when he predicted the company's demise back in 2022? EV charging network EVgo announced plans to deploy hundreds of EVgo Superchargers using Tesla's V4 hardware across U.S. metropolitan areas, a move highlighted during the company's Q2 earnings presentation. Through Tesla's Supercharger for Business program, EVgo will own and brand the stations, each expected to feature up to 20 stalls near retail and restaurants, while Tesla builds, operates, and maintains them under a long-term agreement. The 1,000-volt capable V4 units deliver up to 500 kilowatts and support both NACS and CCS-compatible vehicles via the built-in Magic Dock adapter. Construction begins this fall, with the first sites expected to open before 2027 begins. The stations will appear in Tesla's vehicle navigation and trip planner. EVgo noted network demand has grown more than 700% over the past 3 years and pointed out that it already operates 240 dispensers with NACS Max connectors on a variety of non-Tesla hardware solutions. The Supercharger plans come as EVgo reported Q2 results showing charging network revenue up 19% year over year to about $61 million. The company ended the quarter with 5,380 stalls in operation, up 24% year over year. They reiterated 2026 guidance for $400 to $430 million in revenue, with plans to add up to 1,625 new stalls. Most of those are scheduled to go live in the fourth quarter. By 2030, EVgo is targeting up to 17,000 stalls in operation nationwide. The implementation of Tesla Superchargers is an add-on to EVgo's upcoming in-house next-generation prefabricated DC fast charging architecture using hardware from other providers such as Delta. Finalization and testing are underway in California, with their first units scheduled to be active by the end of the year. This week, EVgo also announced an expansion of their long-term partnership with Brixmor Property Group to add more than 500 new EVgo fast charging stalls at Brixmor shopping centers. Once complete, at least 90 Brixmor properties will feature the dispensers, representing more than a quarter of the group's portfolio. Many locations will have up to 12 dispensers, and new sites are planned in Florida, Illinois, Minnesota, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Texas, with deployment starting later this year and the first expected at Barn Plaza near Philadelphia. Separately, the pilot GM EVgo Collaborative Network revealed this week that they have surpassed 300 locations with about 1,300 stalls across 40 states. The company is past the halfway point to their original goal of deploying up to 2,000 stalls at up to 500 Pilot and Flying J locations. To date, Pilot Flying J has received $15 million in federal NEVI funding. Despite the massive subsidization, I found the GM Energy pilot stations to be uncompetitively priced and semi-frequently out of service. Have you used those stations? What are your thoughts on EVgo's big push? The state of Florida announced plans this week to redirect roughly $200 million in federal National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Funds, also known as NEVI, which were originally intended for public EV fast chargers under the bipartisan infrastructure law. Instead, the state intends to use those funds for an aerial highway network of about 32 charging and electric vertical takeoff and landing, or eVTOL vertiports. The Florida Department of Transportation argues that private companies have already sufficiently expanded charging to service electric passenger vehicles. Florida leadership has determined that the funds would better support emerging battery-powered electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft. Recent alternative fuels data center reports show that Florida has approximately 5,026 public DC fast charging ports. The state has one of the largest market shares of EV registrations in the US. In their Q2 report, EV charging research firm Perrin showed Florida was one of the states with the highest utilization of public DC fast charging dispensers, reaching 20.1%, while the average across the US sits at 15.8%. Reliability of DC fast charging equipment in Florida is also amongst the highest across the US. Back in February, I circumnavigated Florida on a 1,000-mile road trip. Along my route, there was abundant choice and no wait at DC fast charging locations. The estimated cost of each vertiport is $5.6 million, with proposed sites including airports, luxury apartment buildings, military bases, and golf courses. Typically, with the NEVI funding, the states pay 80% of the project and the private sector matches the remaining 20%. In the case of the eVTOL sites, the state may cover the typical 20% non-federal matching share. Updated NEVI guidance allows states whose alternative fuel corridors are certified as fully built out to reallocate remaining funds to EV charging infrastructure on any public road or other publicly accessible locations. The Federal Highway Administration has reviewed and agreed that Florida's major corridors meet this threshold. Final federal approval for the specific redirect is still required and has not been confirmed, though it is expected under the current framework. The result of this plan could be an infrastructural wealth transfer of nearly $250 million taxpayer dollars to the private ownership of the Florida host properties. Critics, including clean energy advocates, contend the shift prioritizes technology mainly accessible to wealthier users over broader EV access. Potential recipients include partners in Florida's eVTOL integration pilot program, including Archer Aviation, Beta Technologies, and Joby Aviation, along with operators or developers of the vertiports themselves. Several manufacturers have targeted commercial operations or pilot programs in the coming years, with early limited operations under the FAA's eVTOL integration pilot program expected to begin this summer across 26 states. Florida has also enacted state legislation authorizing funding support for vertiports and participates in the federal pilot program, positioning the state as an early mover on infrastructure even as full type certification and widespread commercial passenger service remain in progress. The state has already built the nation's first aerial testing site at a 475-acre proving ground at FDOT's SunTrax facility in Central Florida. New York City is expanding its public curbside EV charging program with 600 additional Level 2 charging points across all 5 boroughs over the next 3 years. The move will grow the city's Plug NYC network from its current 88 heavily utilized ports to nearly 700 ports total. The expansion is supported by a $15 million federal grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation's Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant Program awarded in 2024. That funding was specifically intended to create the nation's largest municipal curbside EV charging program, with more than half of the new locations targeted for disadvantaged and low-income neighborhoods. The new stations build directly on the city's earlier curbside pilot we reported on, launched in 2021 in partnership with Con Edison and operated by Flow. That demonstration project initially planned around 100 public Level 2 ports across about 35 sites. It later transitioned to permanent operations, with the public network seeing average utilization above 70% and peaks near 99% at some locations. New York City Department of Transportation officials say the first wave of new chargers will focus on neighborhoods with high residential density, limited off-street parking, and concentrations of taxi and for-hire vehicle drivers. Initial proposed areas include Soundview and Unionport in the Bronx, Rego Park, Forest Hills, and Far Rockaway in Queens, Red Hook, Carroll Gardens, and Bedford-Stuy in Brooklyn, the Upper West Side and Washington Heights in Manhattan, and Stapleton and Staten Island. Public feedback on the proposed sites is being collected through early September, with design and construction rolling out thereafter. Each site is expected to include at least 2 dual-port posts with 4 charging connectors as the minimum, and designed with dig-once electrical connections that could later support e-bike or micromobility charging. The curbside build-out forms part of a broader city charging push that also includes 92 new DC fast charging points and 180 Level 2 ports at municipal parking facilities, many of which are already under construction or complete. This project is separate from the curbside charging funding we reported about in July, allocated by NYSERDA. That vehicle grid integration program awarded nearly $800,000 to VoltPost for deployments of 10 dual-port lamppost charging units across New York State communities. As I said in my recent EVs in America video, EV charging investments and installations are expanding at an incredible rate. EVgo, Ayana, Walmart, and Tesla represent massive private investment, while state programs and federal NEVI programs advance rapidly. Those tens of billions of dollars of fresh investment show us that the government and the wealthiest private sector participants expect electric transportation to rapidly gain market share in the near future. Ford Motor Company announced that the first vehicle built on their new universal electric vehicle platform will be called the Ford Fathom. The company also revealed a starting price for the standard range version of their midsize all-electric truck of $28,350, excluding destination fees. The company said the name Fathom was chosen after a fairly typical 9-month new model positioning process, which prioritized understanding the target buyer. The name draws on meanings of measuring depth and fully comprehending something. Features highlighted in the announcement include a large high-resolution touchscreen with navigation powered by Apple Maps, standard Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, standard bidirectional power capability, a digital key standard, and Blue Cruise hands-free highway driving capability. The brand confirmed that they had considered reviving the Ranchero name for the first of several vehicles to be built upon this platform. They did file a patent for a Ranchero EV, so maybe we'll see that one in the future with a design closer to Hyundai's canceled Santa Cruz. Full design details, exact range figures, and additional specs remain under wraps ahead of the broader reveal. Pre-orders are set to open in early 2027. I'll link our video diving into clues of the new universal EV platform if you haven't seen it yet. Do you think the blank slate, bare bones electric pickup truck will fare well against Ford's much more capable, spacious, and fully equipped EV with such a similar price point and a Q3 2027 launch window? This week, we published a super detailed review of the upcoming long-range flagship commuter e-scooter from Segway called the Max G3 Plus. Pre-orders are open now for a competitive price of $1,149, but the price will go up to $1,499 at the end of the month. I'll include a link to the review and a discount link to Segway in this video's description. Later this week, we will also be publishing our interview with Octopus Energy leadership on the Miss GoElectric Industry channel. If you haven't already yet, be sure to subscribe at Miss GoElectric Industry for several insightful interviews coming soon. Well, that wraps up this episode of the current weekly EV news. Until next time, drive, fly, ride. Go electric.